Okay, so a little background, and you'll read about this in the Heart of Yoga. I'm jumping the gun because I want to make sure that you have all the material for the pop quiz. But in the Heart of Yoga, it talks about the Purusa. The Purusa is like the energy of the ultimate intelligence, maybe what one might call God, or all that is, or the supreme intelligence behind all of creation. And then that's the intelligence. And then you have the Prakriti. The Prakriti is everything that is made up in our world, 3D world, right? And they say that the Gunas, that everything in the Prakriti, everything in your 3D world consists of one, one of the Gunas. So anything in our 3D world has at least one element of the Gunas. And the Gunas has 3 categories to them. And the first one is Rajas. And Rajas is busy, movement, action, so, a car would have Rajas. I have a Rajas mind. Or Rajasic mind. And then the second one is tamas. And this is inertia, laziness, stagnant. I have a tamasic body. So, if you get into Ayurveda, I know it's silly, but it's true. If you get into Ayurveda, this is usually how I would diagnose someone that comes to me after asking them, going through a questionnaire. I would find out, oh, okay, you have a Rajasic mind and a tamas body. Now, how can we bring you into sattva? And sattva is balance. See where we're going with this? It's a triangle. You've got your, one spectrum and then the other spectrum, and then you have balance in between, right? So sattva is balance, harmony, peace, calm. This might be like homeostasis. So let's say this person comes to me and I'm like, okay, yeah, you have a Rajasic mind, you've got a very busy mind, but you have no movement. You might sit at a desk all day and then go home and relax. So you're not really getting any exercise or whatever. How can I bring them into sattva? So what I would do is say, okay, first you need to meditate, you need to quiet the mind, and then you need to move your body, you need to do yoga, right? But let's say someone comes to me and they're like, no, their mind is calm and clear, and they're just there's not a whole lot going on up there, right? But they work in a factory and their body's going. I might tell them, okay, you need to meditate to bring stillness into your body and just calm yourself. But really there's not a whole, if they have a calm mind, which that's hard to find anyway, but I'm trying to think of the different spectrums. If they have a calm mind, you don't want to disrupt, you don't want to fix something that's not broke, let's say they work in a factory, so they go, 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 but then they're stressing and worrying, So then you might say, okay, well, maybe slow down with some yin or restorative yoga and do some meditation. So it's always just trying to like find out what's going on with the person. And in Ayurveda, even movement, even yoga is considered like a part of the, what's the word I'm thinking of? I want to say nourishment, but that's not the word. I don't know. If it comes to me, I'll let you know. But do you guys have any questions about these?
So Gunas are categories of the physical world.
Yeah, that everything in the physical world is going to have something. So like your coffee table is going to have the tamas. It's not going to move, right? I mean,
I hope so.
Your car is going to be rajas when it's driving, but it's going to be tamas when it's parked, right? You might say when a planet is in retrograde, it's tamas. And then when it moves direct, well, it depends. It depends on how fast they are. Like Mercury, I would say, is rajas. The Mercury moves fast. But, tamas, Pluto, I think it takes 6 months to do their retrograde cycle. And sometimes it takes years before they go every 18 months, I think. But, like some of those outer planets are not going to be as movable as like Mercury. It's right next to the sun. It's going. What else? What is another good example in our world? Your money flow, like maybe your money flow is here. Okay, let's say, is it coming in? If we want it to come in a lot like this, right? But it could be going out like that. You know what I mean? Like, does that make any sense? It could be coming in like this and going out like that, but we want it coming in like that and going out like that, right? Or most of the time, we just want to try to find that peace, that balance. This is really what we want to attain in everything, whether it's mind, body, spirit, emotions, thoughts, try to find, and, even there, that's such a, important theme right now is, fake positivity in our world. It's kind of irking me. It's my pet peeve right now. But fake positivity really just creates more darkness in the world, because what it's doing is it's continuing to repress and push down those emotions. So true healing, true journey to wholeness is honoring those things, right? And it's about being whole. It's about finding the balance, so some people might be like, no, push it down and don't deal with it and just be happy all the time. And you know what I mean? So no, and of course you don't want to dwell in it like Eeyore or anything, right? Because you could end up in depression if you hang out there and dwell there. So you got to kind of find that balance. Okay, I'm still going to get out of the house today, and I'm still going to maybe walk out in nature and get some fresh air, and I'm going to contact people and make, that connection with other human beings. And, so you're doing the things that that are good for your health, wellness, whether it's mental health, physical health, whatever. But when an emotion comes up, instead of being like, oh, you can't cry, blah, blah, blah. No, it's okay. You're a human feeling being that is allowed to cry, and whoever's going to judge you. And that's one of the things is oh, I don't want anybody seeing us cry, especially if we ugly cry, right? But it's if it's that case, then just go to the bathroom. But people who can't handle that if they're uncomfortable with that, that's something in them. You know what I mean? If we are uncomfortable with other people crying, that says more about us than it does them. So, but that is one thing that my teacher always said, don't shove Kleenexes in people's face. And I'll tell you why. Even though we have good intentions to say, no, you can leave it go for right now, I think.
No, I said, you'd be stop crying, like.
Yeah. So if we give them Kleenex, that's like us physically saying, like, clean yourself up. You're a mess. Get it together, Whereas in, like, I'll say, there's Kleenexes in the back room if you want it, but, like, only if you want it. Because I'm like, I don't want to make people feel like there's something wrong with them, because there's everything right with them having that emotional release.
Oh, I always thought that was like, oh yeah, now I can be really snooty because there's something to catch it.
Yeah, now I can really ugly cry.
Yeah, because otherwise I hold it in because it's like, I don't know.
It's messy. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a ginger. It's like, no, I can be snooty.
Yeah. So definitely always keep Kleenex in the room when you're teaching yoga, and maybe, let people know, like, hey, depending on especially the class that you're going to lead, maybe at the beginning you might say it's very common to have emotional release. And if you do so, that's A-okay. That's welcome here. And we don't judge that sort of thing. There's Kleenexes in the back of the room if you need them, and then, go about your class. But yeah, so many people like that, it does like a physical, you're a mess, clean yourself up. You can be a beautiful mess, snotty all over. I don't care if you put your snot on your shirt. I don't care. Just like, I'm glad that you're crying. So we have this new yoga teacher. She came and she lived in Arizona most of her life, but she lived in the Bahamas too. And she teaches our Sunday class now. And she had someone fall asleep and start snoring in the class. And she she thanked them like 5 times. I mean, it was a little over much. She was just like, I've never had anybody fall asleep. That means that you had a good healing. I'm like, just so glad, and blah, blah, blah. She was just like, so glad that they had this experience, So, and, even though, of course, you don't want people to be in pain, as a yoga teacher, it's almost, you gotta be careful it doesn't feed the ego, but it's almost like, oh, the medicine worked, like they had a release, it worked, so it's actually like a teacher will see it as a good thing. When you're lying in Shavasana, crying and all that stuff, it doesn't feel like a good thing, but it is. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, tangent again. So you guys feel good about this? This is going to be on the pop quiz. I think this was the last thing that we have not covered that's on the pop quiz. So, now you can start studying for that. Okay, so we'll go over, let's see, Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is going to be our yoga value that we're covering this week. Okay. Many take this concept to mean celibacy. Many spiritual traditions embrace celibacy as a tool for diverting energies away from sexuality and towards spiritual growth. Brahmacharya can also be interpreted as moderation of our actions and our search to fulfill our sensual cravings. It means avoiding the indulgence of the senses, choosing your sexual partners with care, and ensuring that your sexuality comes from a basis of love rather than inappropriate flirtation or manipulation. On a deeper level, it encompasses a commitment to and a merging with the divine. Moderation in our actions. This has many interpretations, one of which is celibacy. Many spiritual traditions preach celibacy, not because they consider sex bad, but so that energies can be used to uplift the self. Celibacy as a tool for discovering oneself can be a joyous, self-nurturing experience. An interpretation of brahmacharya might be being moderate in thoughts and actions. Channeling your sexuality with thought helps you to respect its power and use it with love. I will insert here so a lot of the guys in the spiritual community have done like 40 days before where they don't have sex, they don't masturbate, like they hold their seed. And it helps to create more productivity, creativity, energy, and it's kind of like, so they say when we do have a release, like an orgasm, we leak our energy. So when we leak our energy, is it worth it? Or did we just do it out of boredom or whatever, So it's more like making sure that you're you're getting the most out of the energy dispersal. But then then they take it even further. And they say, if it's a loving, like a mutual, if it's like someone that loves you in return, then that energy feeds into them and their energy feeds into you. But if we're having sex with someone who like maybe doesn't love us, then we're just leaking our energy and they're just leaking their energy, I'll even take this further and take with it a grain of salt. What resonates, keep. What doesn't, let go. Energy cords. So when you get into energy work and, learning about the chakras and things like that, we can connect with people and then take on. So when we have an energetic cord with someone, okay, like let's say we had a one-night stand with someone, right? We didn't even know them, but now they've gone home and we're home. The reason a lot of times people will feel crappy, it's not so much about like, oh my God, I just had a one-night stand. It's because you took on all the energy of that person. You took the energy, like whether they had anxiety, depression, demons, whatever, you can absorb that, especially as a woman. I will say that because we're more of a receiving in the outlet terms of things. And then you can still, depending on the cord or things, you can still feel their energy. Like, so if they go through something bad and you might have so some days when we're feeling really crappy, it might not even be us. It might be someone that we're corded to. So it's really good, to have a ceremony and clear your energy and do decording. I will say this. So a lot of time when I started learning about cutting cords, I just cut those things. I just cut them. But my most recent work that I'm getting into, the Pleiadian work, they're saying that when you do cut it, you need to seal it with, and if you just imagine gold light from your hand, like you're almost like you're cauterizing anywhere where we do decording in the Pleiadian work. So, to me, I think it's a better, long-lasting approach than to just cut things. Let's see, did I cover everything? So we can have cords, we can absorb their energy, and I'll even take it even further. There's a book that, if you think I sound crazy, this book is called Gaia, Grace, and the End of Days. But it talks about entities and things like that. So you can, if that person had an entity, that entity can attach to you. And I don't mean to scare you. I'm just saying that there's some people that believe that those things are there, and I'm open to it just because I know that there's more dimensions than this one we live in. So I always try to keep my mind open, because as soon as you close, you close off to possibilities and things like that. And then it's harder to reopen it. So I always try to keep it open, but open mind, but not open energy. In that book, maybe I don't want to record this for, yeah, let's